Envy owns the night. What school you go to?
Calvary.
Calvary! All right, so next year it's going to be homeschool owns the night. But give it up, you guys, one more time for Victoria!
Hi, guys. So, basically, I'm going to be sharing my testimony with you. I'm going to be talking about the power of words and how your words can change how people see their own value. I'm going to open with a verse from Proverbs. It says, "The tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love to talk will eat their own words." And another version says, "Words kill, words give life. They're either poison or fruit. You choose." So, for those of you who don't know me, I grew up in a Christian home, and I was homeschooled my entire life. And because we're Americans and make snap judgments, good or bad, you guys may have already subconsciously made the judgment that I had a protected and decent childhood growing up. What everyone in this room doesn't know, including my closest friends, is despite my amazing family and my Christian home and being homeschooled, by the time I was 7, out of my 3 siblings, I was the one who got victimized. So by the time I was 7, I was put into the number of 6.6 million children who suffer from some sort of abuse every year. And in my case, we had a neighbor who, while my family and sister weren't around, would violate and molest me. And, sorry, I've never shared this before, so it's like touchy. This went on for 3 years, and until that person moved away, but what affected me after that was almost worse in a way. Certain things would set me off, and I'd get memories and flashbacks, and things would come pouring back to me, and I'd have panic attacks, and I didn't know how to handle them, and I'd put my hands over my mouth to try and stop my uncontrollable crying, or hold my breath until I passed out. I couldn't sleep, and when I did, I just remember waking up screaming from nightmares, and just I didn't know what had happened to me or like why it made me feel the dirty, terrible way it did, but I just knew it was wrong. And I carried this shame all the way through my childhood and into my teen years. And by the time I was 13, it had become really clear in my eyes what had actually happened to me, and that kind of only worsened my anxiety and depression, and intensified my shame. I would cut myself. I would hit myself as hard as I could. I would starve myself. And any time I did eat, I'd shortly return to the bathroom to throw up. And I would just do anything to convince myself that I was something worthwhile. If you've ever cut yourself before, you know it's just like anything to distract your mind from the truth, and anything to get rid of the pain that's like so just boiling inside of you. One of my first points is never judge a book by its cover, as cliche as that is. But if you knew me growing up, you would never have guessed that I'd been through something like sexual abuse. As Christine Kane puts it, one of the pastors from Hillsong, she says, "We put on masks of pretense. We erect protective shields around our hearts to deflect shame or distract unwanted attention. Enough practice and we become masters of hiding from others and eventually ourselves." And I didn't know who I was, and neither did my peers or my family or friends, and that put me in a really dangerous spot, because everything, all the words that were fed to me, negative or positive, I took that as truth. So the point I want to get across is you really have to watch your words, because you never know what someone could be going through. If you knew me growing up, you never would have guessed. People put on these faces and masks of pretense, and you never know. So I'm going to talk about how your words affect people. I remember around 8 years old when physical boundaries were the scariest thing I had to deal with. And one of my family members would always ask me why I hated her. She would say, why do you hate me? Why won't you hug me? Why aren't you as happy as you used to be when you were younger? Why are you angry all the time? So she told me I hated her because I couldn't show love to her physically. And to my 8-year-old self, because I couldn't show love to anyone physically, all I could do was hate. And this shaped me into a person I absolutely just despised. I was mean all the time, and I would lash out for no reason, and I would hurt people who I only wanted to show love to. And it turned me into this person where how I defined myself was trash, unwanted, used, injured, weak. And I thought, up until 6 months ago, that if anyone else knew what I had been through and who I actually was, that they would think the exact same thing about me. I even considered the fact that my boyfriend at the time would break up with me if he knew. So to suffer heartache, I sat him down and told him everything, and his reaction was completely the furthest thing from what I expected. And he just looked at me in the eyes and said, "You are still just as valuable." He said, "You are strong, and you are still beautiful, and I love you just the same." And it wasn't until that moment that I'd never felt what it truly meant to be accepted. And God's truth, seriously set me free, because I am able to live today knowing that I'm not those things. So I know why God placed him in my life, because if it weren't for those words, "You are still valuable," I would be in a bad place right now. So my main point is value. It doesn't matter if you call yourself trash or if someone else calls you trash, because God calls you valuable. In Ephesians, it says, "For we are God's masterpiece. He has created us anew in Christ so we can do the good things he planned for us long ago." So God calls you his son, and he calls you his daughter. And I know that can be totally hard to grasp, because how could this amazing God who created the earth and waves and the sky and sunsets and stars think of me, this crappy human being who messes up all the time and is the furthest thing from perfection, as anything but trash? But God looks at you and he says, no. God says, "You are valuable." So, like the verse in the beginning, I want to encourage you guys to just choose to give life in your words. And, thank you.
Give it up for